We are so close to the Global Trophy Finals, but we still have a couple of tournaments left to go. And here is our third of 4 continental qualifiers. We've already seen the European and the Asian qualifiers, and now it's time for the African qualifiers here at the 2024 Global Trophy, the 20th annual Global Trophy. I am Masterath, and I'm joined alongside
Sam Elliott, 64, and yes, of course, last week we saw Australia break the record in Asia for the most championships ever. 5-time Asian champions now, Australia, in only 9 attempts. Incredible performance from them.
Incredible for them, and of course, as well, not an incredibly strong lineup in Asia in comparison to the very stacked European card.
We'll have to wait and see how Africa compares. Obviously, we've got a lot of strong teams in there, a lot of high-ranking teams in there from years gone by. Let's hope we can add a bit of sprinkling of talent from Africa.
Well, we might as well kick off with our dud team again. It's Tanzania.
A repeat from last year. Such a shame for them. They managed to snipe it off of Guinea-Bissau on the final day of the preliminary league. Good effort from them to recover, but yeah, not good enough really in terms of the outright performance.
Only the dud, unfortunately, to this team, Togo.
Yeah, Togo finished lower than I thought, actually. I thought they'd be better than that, but they did okay, did enough, and yeah, love that.
Yep, of course, Togo recently been actually in the top 8 in Africa recently, so maybe they could do it again. Who knows?
Yep, absolutely.
Next up, Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, yeah. Excuse me. Another one of those teams which, in the past, have qualified for the top 8, of the Global Trophy Africa section. Let's see if they can do it here.
Yep, big comeback they did in the preliminaries there to make it into the top 6.
Absolutely.
Next up, it is 5th place, Namibia.
Namibia only lost the one game, didn't they? And they in the end they just kind of fell off and were pulled back into the fight for survival. And they managed to do it in the end, but yeah, let's see if they can improve upon their situation.
Yep, too many draws for them, I think, when it comes to Namibia. But they did make it into the top 5, even though they were in a battle for the championship at one point. Next up, it is Angola, finished 4th in the preliminary league.
I think they finished 4th in a 2-horse race, which I don't really know how they managed to do that. To be honest with you.
One worse than Spurs. How the hell did that happen?
You should, if you ever go full Spurs, don't do that.
Yeah, I think Angola went full Spurs there.
Yep.
Because who sniped 3rd place? Congo of all teams. Where did they come from?
They were nowhere. And suddenly here they are. They managed to qualify very comfortably, and they looked pretty good towards the end, didn't they?
Yep. Will they be able to do the same thing here in this tournament? Remember, 2 wins and you're in the final. Just 2. Speaking of 2, number 2 here in the preliminary league, Kenya.
Yep. I think Kenya will be a dark horse in this. You can't really discount them, can you? Let's face it, they're one of the better teams in the African preliminaries, and they have qualified on numerous occasions in the past.
Yep, they certainly have. Alongside this team, the winners of the African Preliminary League, Zimbabwe.
Comfortably in the end, weren't they? I think they only lost the one game, but they were fairly comfortable the whole way through.
Yep, jostling for a position with Angola, but Zimbabwe edging out Kenya and Congo in the end to take the title. Ahead of, well, essentially, this team that barely survived not being in the preliminary league this year, Mauritania.
In Mauritania, they tend to have to be pre-qualifiers, don't they?
I believe so, yeah.
And, well, here they are having to, not having to go through that ordeal straight away, so good for them.
Yep, good for them indeed. Next up, it's Benin.
Yeah, Benin, again, another one of those teams which, on their day, are very capable, but it's been a hot minute since they've actually qualified, hasn't it?
Yep, certainly has. Next up, it is Uganda.
I think they've also, in recent years, they have qualified, but it's been a couple of years since. Uganda, not one to take lightly, but not one of the stronger teams here in Africa.
Yep, and now it's time for our first of 2 Guineas, since obviously Guinea-Bissau has already been knocked out. Equatorial Guinea is next.
I wonder if this one's on the equator.
Well, it's false advertisement if they're not.
Yep.
To be
true
fair.
True that.
Next up, Global Trophy Big Guns. It's Gabon.
Gabon, of course, these days, although, in world football, they're running out of time with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, aren't they? He's a bit older these days, a bit not quite the player he once was.
Yeah, not one of the pacey sods he used to be. Probably still very pacey, but not as pacey.
He'd outrun you or me. Let's say that much.
Oh bloody hell! I think an overgrown snail would outrun me. To be honest, Jesus, I'm not very healthy, you know. Next up, Zambia.
They, in recent years, have been in the top 4 for Africa, haven't they, Zambia? They're a solid enough side. I think they beat Nigeria a few years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Something sounds right. Very close on that one. Next up, it is regular flavoured Guinea.
This one's not on the equator.
No.
Good.
Could still have a coin there, though.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. Next up, a team that's definitely recently competed in the Global Trophy Finals, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yep, their neighbours, well, their neighbours and friends in Congo have also qualified. DR Congo are back once again. A team that in recent years have been fairly absent, but they are always a dark horse in the Africa section.
Yep, Democratic Republic of Congo barely avoiding the dud a couple of years ago. I think it was Czech Republic's winning year. In the Global Trophy Finals, as it was their debut. So they've made it to the Global Trophy Finals only once. Next up, it's Cabo Verde.
Yep, my honeymoon destination, the beautiful islands of Cape Verde, just off the west coast of Africa.
Hurrah! Well, there you go. There you go. Comments, congratulating Sam on his wedding. Which, when this goes up, you'd have already been married.
It was over a year ago. Yeah,
you'd have been.
I will say, going to Cape Verde was very beautiful. Like, it was just sandy beaches everywhere, very hot. It was like 35 degrees every day. It was amazing.
And you won a pub quiz.
I did.
Because of the global trophy.
Literally, it was because it was a quiz on flags.
Hey!
And I literally won it because I knew them all from the global trophy.
Well, there you go. The global trophy's done something. Sam's won a pub quiz because of it.
Because I knew flags. Yeah.
Hurrah!
That was my special interest.
Yep. Next up, Burkina Faso.
Top 8 in recent years in the global trophy finals.
Yep.
Burkina Faso. I think it was on their first ever appearance in the Global Trophy Finals as well. So fair play to Burkina Faso. They outdid New Zealand, didn't they, on that occasion?
Yep, they certainly did. And Burkina Faso also making it into the top 32 for the Global Trophy Champion of Champions in 2022 as well.
Crazy to think about, isn't it?
Yep. Next up, it is Mali.
Mali in recent years have had some decent footballers come through in terms of people like Naby Keita and the like, but yeah, slipping down a bit, in terms of the global trophy. They're not one of the stronger teams in Africa, are they, really?
They're certainly not on this one. This team, on the other hand, certainly is. Cameroon's next.
Yeah, Cameroon, perennial African champions. 5 times they've won the African title, but they've not won one in 10 years. It's been a good while since they've taken home one of those titles. But thankfully for them, unlike another previous African champion, Liberia, they actually still have a good FIFA ranking, so they can actually attempt to defend their title.
Yep, and Cameroon, I think, aren't they like the second? Haven't they got like the second most amount of African championships? I think, haven't they?
So yep, you've got Nigeria, who have 8, I think it is, or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and yeah, Cameroon have 5. So they have. Yeah, quite a few. Senegal have 4, so Senegal can equal them this year in second place.
Certainly could. Next up, Egypt.
Egypt, of course, flying up the FIFA rankings these days because of players like Mo Salah. Also a decent team in the African section in the past. They have qualified in recent years. But, with that said, they're not one of the big dogs in Africa. They've never won an African title, let's say that much.
Yep. Next up, a team that's always there or thereabouts when it comes to the African section, but certainly not one of the big 3 or even 4. It's Algeria.
They did in 2018, though. I think they were the ones who beat France, the Portugal one, for the first time in the round of 16. So they have capability in them. do Algeria. Watch out for them.
Yep, next up, it is Tunisia.
Tunisia, yet another good team in the Africa section. They tend to do okay. They didn't qualify last year, of course. They'll be looking to rectify that in 2024.
Next, the highest ranked team from Africa on the FIFA rankings that didn't make it to the Global Trophy Finals last time round, Morocco.
They were brilliant in the World Cup, weren't they, in 2022?
First ever African team to make it to a World Cup semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some great players, you know, Hakim Ziyech, who's the right back called? Ashraf Hakimi as well. He's phenomenal. And their keeper, Bono, or Bonu.
Oh, yeah.
Bonu, I don't know. Something like that.
Bono,
like the guy from U2.
yeah. He's like that bloke. Next up, probably the most successful African team in the Global Trophy. It's the one, the only, Nigeria.
Nigeria, of course, were Global Trophy. They're royalty, aren't they? Really, at this point, they've won 7 Africa sections. They've, you know, been Global Trophy champion of champion finalists. They've been Global Trophy finalists in the past. If any team from Africa is ever going to win the Global Trophy, I think these are the favourites to do it.
Certainly, definitely on that one. Next up, Sudan.
Yeah, or South Sudan, as they're known these days, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. One of the teams in the top 8 last year did okay. Can they continue that run of form?
And next up, they're back, folks. Big Green. It's Libya.
Libya qualifying in the top 8 last time around, did very well to do so, and they'll be looking to repeat that this time around. I wouldn't say, again, they're one of the strongest African nations, but watch out for them. As we saw last year, they can provide a shock or two.
Could pull a surprise. Next up, it is the Giant Killers of 2006, Ghana.
Yep, 4th places back then. Ghana had a good run to the semi-finals of the Africa section, sorry, the quarterfinals of the Africa section last time around, losing out to eventual winners, Senegal.
And next up, it's Comoros, folks! The former African champions are back again.
Yep, they won it in 2022, the Africa section, partnering with Lithuania. We thought last year when they partnered with Latvia, they wouldn't do as well. They didn't do as well, but they still made it all the way to the semi-finals, and Latvia are back to represent them once again in the Africa section. So, round of applause, please, for Comoros.
Yep, Latvia representing Comoros for a 2nd year in a row. Next up, we get some big names here. It's the Ivory Coast first up.
Yeah, Ivory Coast have never, ever won the Africa section, which is a shocker to me. They are one of the biggest teams in Africa. It's only a matter of time before they win it, surely.
Surely it is for the Ivory Coast. Only Senegal knocked them out in the past. Next up, runners-up of Africa last time round, South Africa.
They were runners-up last time, but they were previous winners in 2021. South Africa have kind of shot up through the rankings in recent years. They've been, you know, kind of a sleeping giant of African Global Trophy action. So good luck to them this time around.
Yep, and of course they've broken up the big 3 African teams, as they are now the 3rd highest ranked African team.
They've just overtaken our champions from last year, though, who are looking to usurp them back into that top 3. It's Senegal, the 4-time African champions. Of course, our current champions won it in 2018, 2010, and 2008 as well. So they are, you know, there's pedigree there with Senegal.
There certainly is on that one. See if it does it first time round. Yes!
Look at that.
Wow!
Well,
oh no!
we're missing a lot of big teams here, aren't we?
There's some big uns in there though. That could be a Comoros South Africa round 2.
It could be. Of course, there's important things to note though. There are no Senegal. There are no
Cameroon,
Nigeria, or Cameroon. Yeah, so there's a lot of big teams that could potentially take each other on later on.
No
Ghana
Morocco.
are there though. No Morocco. No, you know, Algeria are there.
Yep.
So
Algeria's there. South Africa's there. Tunisia's there. You know, Ghana's there. Ivory Coast is there. I think it's pretty split. But yeah, the top 3, the big 3 African teams, all in that second half of the brackets.
yeah, it's going to be scary down there for sure. Let's kick things off though with our former African champions, South Africa, winners in 2021. They take on Uganda.
Uganda have made it to a Global Trophy Finals recently. South Africa perennial. They usually do make it, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
3-0. Good start for South Africa. Good start for the runners-up of Africa last year.
Yep, and next up is Tunisia. They didn't make it last year. Of course, Latvia representing Comoros did. And Comoros in the last 2 years have both times qualified. They are the only name swap team ever to have qualified. Can they do it for a third year in a row? It's going to be tough.
Semi-finalists last time round. It is a win, which means we get a rematch from last year's semi-final.
In Africa, yes, it means Comoros will play South Africa again, but this time to qualify for the Global Trophy Finals.
Yep. Mauritania take on Guinea in the next round. One of those four is going to be in the Global Trophy Finals.
It probably backed Egypt of the four, but it will be, to start things off, Mauritania versus Guinea.
Yep, two of the lower teams. Guinea higher ranked than Mauritania. It is a win for Guinea. They're through to round 2.
Good result there for Guinea. South Sudan take on Egypt. Egypt didn't qualify last time around. Sudan actually did.
Yep, made it to the quarterfinals last time around to lose out to the Ivory Coast. Win for Egypt, 3-1. South Sudan gone.
Yep, good result for Egypt. They will take on Guinea in the next round. This is a big crunch match here between Ivory Coast, who of course did qualify last year. Algeria did not, but one of these two big names in Africa is going to go home straight away.
Yep, Algeria, the third highest ranked, FIFA ranked team that didn't make it to the Global Trophy Finals last time around from Africa. Ivory Coast finished 3rd in Africa last year. Winner takes on Zimbabwe for a shot at qualifying and progressing to the Global Trophy Finals. And it is the Ivory Coast, 4-2. What a result for the neutral there. And for Ivory Coast, I guess.
Yeah, and as you said, Zimbabwe's going to get the bye match against Tanzania, which I think is only right because they performed so well in the preliminary league, didn't they? So Zimbabwe get another chance to progress, but they've got a big challenge next up, taking on the Ivory Coast, who have been so dangerous.
Certainly have on that
it's
one.
Frank Zappa. What's he doing here?
Frank Zappa wants to be in the Africa. He doesn't want any R.
No, he didn't want any R.
He's odd like that. He's an alien.
We still haven't seen Vinny yet, have we?
We want to see Big. Well, Big Vinny's going to be in the final. You know, of course he is.
Obviously.
Of course he is.
Well, through go Zimbabwe. They will take on the Ivory Coast in the round of 16.
That is a tasty matchup there.
It is, but if we look at who's going through at the moment, we could have potentially, we'll have at least one African champion going through in the first fixture. We could have Egypt going through the second.
At the moment,
Ivory Coast
it's looking
Zimbabwe.
Quite strong, though, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing. Zambia take on Ghana next up.
Ghana, giant killers, almost 20 years ago. They're through to the second round here, but they got either Togo or Benin.
Togo, of course, pre-qualifying in 7th place in the preliminary league. Benin got the automatic qualification due to their FIFA ranking.
Yep, Benin, 2 spots ahead of pre-qualification in the preliminaries, and it's a win for Togo.
Togo progressed, and they will take on Ghana in the next round to qualify. Senegal, our champions, are here. They take on Mali in the first round of qualification. Can they make it through?
Big crunch match here. Win for Senegal, but they've got either Sierra Leone or Cameroon.
Oh, dear me.
Oh, here we go again.
Well, Sierra Leone, they are a pre-qualifying team. They take on Cameroon, 5-time African champions. Not an easy task for them.
Sierra Leone, who finished 6th in the preliminary league. Well, 15-1 for Cameroon.
I mean, they've made their feelings very clear there, haven't they?
Yep. Libya now take on Gabon. This is going to be a very interesting clash between these two.
Yep, of course, Libya last year did qualify. Gabon did not.
Gabon with the bigger pedigree, you could say. 2-1 win. They'll take on either Nigeria or the Democratic Republic of Congo.
You'd probably got to back Nigeria here, haven't you? The serial African champions of the past.
Certainly do. 14-1 Nigeria.
Well, it wasn't quite 15-1 though, was it?
Well, we may see that in the quarterfinals.
We might.
Burkina Faso, they've got the Guinea of the Equator variant.
Burkina Faso, of course, recently has qualified for the Global Trophy, so let's see how they get on.
Yep, and have recently qualified for the Champion of Champions after finishing the top 8. They have won 4-0.
Good result there, and we have 2 preliminary qualifier teams to take them on in the next round, Namibia and Congo.
Congo finished 3rd, Namibia finished 5th.
Congo finished the stronger, but they're out now. They're gone.
They're out. Win for Namibia. Congo, both Congos gone in round 1.
Yes, indeedy. And Namibia will take on the winner of our next match, which is Kenya and Cape Verde.
Yep, Cabo Verde, who are not bad ranked in the FIFA rankings. Of course, Kenya, low ranked, but very strong in the preliminary league. 5-0 Kenya!
That's a good result for Kenya. Of course, they did manage to get through in the preliminary league. They'll have to do they're not going to take on Namibia in the next round. I do apologise. They're going to play the winner of our next match, which is Angola or Morocco.
Yep, Morocco, highest ranked on FIFA ranks at least. African side that didn't make it in the Global Trophy Finals last time round. Angola finished 4th in the preliminaries. Big crunch match here between these two. Win for Morocco. Angola gone in round 1.
Absolutely. So we have our top 16. I tell you what, if all of the big winners go through here, Africa could also have a very, very impressive lineup going into the Global Trophy Finals, couldn't they?
They certainly could on that one. And we kick off with the runners-up of last year's African section, South Africa. They've got Comoros being represented by Latvia.
Yep, they've both won a title in the past 3 years, Comoros and South Africa. Who goes through here?
Who goes through? It is South Africa! Comoros gone!
Oh, dearie me. They might have to pre-qualify next year, Comoros.
Certainly could. That could be a problem for Comoros. South Africa, the first team through to the Global Trophy Finals from Africa. Guinea or Egypt will join them.
I think Egypt probably the favourites here, but it's not a guarantee. Guinea could bring a surprise.
Could Egypt make it through to the Global Trophy Finals for the first time in ages? Yes, they can! Egypt into the Global Trophy Finals for the first time in a while.
On penalties. Good result for Egypt there.
Ivory Coast, Zimbabwe. 3rd place of Africa last year versus the champions of the preliminary league this year.
Gotta say, Ivory Coast probably the favourites on paper.
Certainly do, but Zimbabwe can pull shockers. Not this time, though. 3-0 Ivory Coast. They're into another Global Trophy Finals.
Impressive stuff from the Ivory Coast. Can Ghana join them? They've got to beat Togo, I think. There's a couple still left in, but they're the biggest surprises to go through from the preliminary leagues. They finished 7th, of course.
Yep, barely scraping through against Tanzania. Ghana, Giant Killers 2006. It'd be great to see him in another Global Trophy Finals, wouldn't it? It is! They're in another Global Trophy Finals. Ghana through!
So far, all of the big names have gone through. We're going to lose at least one big name here out of Senegal and Cameroon. 9 African titles between them. Who's going through to the round of 8?
Senegal, the reigning champions. Cameroon failed to make it through last time round. They failed to make it through this time round. Senegal looking to defend the title.
They've beaten Cameroon, who have now gone over 10 years without an African championship. They've won 5 of the first 10. They haven't won one since.
Yep, very bad run of form for Cameroon. Can Nigeria beat Gabon to make it to another quarter-final?
If they do, Africa's looking extra saucy, isn't it really? You have to say so.
Certainly is. Win for Nigeria. They're through. 3-0.
And massive performance from Nigeria. And look at the teams going through. South Africa, Egypt, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria.
That is huge.
Can Burkina Faso rekindle their spark from a few years ago? They've got to beat Namibia, the pre-qualifying team.
Finished 5th in Namibia. They're through. Namibia's through.
That is a massive upset. Burkina Faso go home. Namibia, the pre-qualifiers, the first pre-qualifying team to have made it through this year.
Can Kenya join them? They have Morocco.
Big ass against Morocco. Morocco, a good team.
Very highly ranked, very strong side. Win for Morocco, 2-0.
So,
Jesus, that top 8 of Africa.
The only big name you've got to say missing is Cameroon.
Yeah.
If you swap out Namibia for Cameroon, that is the best possible African outcome,
That's
surely.
got to be one of the biggest, yeah. Do you know what? We were saying about how big, how stacked Europe's top 8 is. That's also big.
This is up there. I mean, Asia are quivering at the moment because they've just got these two, they've not got the strongest lineup, and this African lineup is immense.
If there's any chance for an African Global Trophy champion, this year might be the year.
I mean, this is the most star-studded global trophy, I think, ever. If we can see Argentina and Brazil qualifying next week, and maybe Mexico as well,
yeah,
it's gonna go off.
Yeah, it's gonna be massive. Who's going to win the African section, though? South Africa versus Egypt first.
South Africa have the most recent success, and you'd probably say they're the favourites now.
Win for South Africa, 1-0 through to the second round to take on either Ivory Coast or Ghana.
Two big names of the African game. Ivory Coast have had more recent success, although Ghana are a decent side.
Both teams knocked out by Senegal last year. Win for the Ivory Coast into, again, the semi-finals.
Incredible run of form for the Ivory Coast. Senegal and Nigeria. Are these the two big two now from Africa? They're the best two in recent years, certainly.
Yep, they are the best two left. Nigeria lost to Comoros last time round. Win for Nigeria, Senegal out!
Nigeria are on course then for a 8th African section title. Can they do it? Namibia and Morocco, probably the two underdogs left in this.
Yep, Morocco probably the favourites here over the preliminary qualifiers. 1-0 win, Morocco into the final four.
Anyone's game now then. Ivory Coast and South Africa for a place in the final of the African Global Trophy segment for 2024.
South Africa finished second last time round. Ivory Coast finished third last time round. One of these two is going to be in the finals, and it's the Ivory Coast! They're in the finals this time round!
Will they be joined by Nigeria or Morocco? Will we have an all-new African champion, or will it be the big dogs of Africa, Nigeria?
Could do Nigeria, former quarter-finalist last time round. It is Nigeria in the finals!
Nigeria gunning for their 8th unprecedented territory here, or will it be Ivory Coast's first ever African title?
Is it going to be 8 for Nigeria? It's not! Ivory Coast have won the African section finally!
Unbelievable. The Ivory Coast, at long last, have done it. We've waited for years. They've always been there or thereabouts. And they've finally won the African section. The Ivory Coast.
Finished third last year. Knocked out by Senegal, who went on to win it this year round. They beat Ghana, who finished 5th in last year's African section. They beat the Ivory Coast, who finished 3rd last time round. And then they beat Nigeria, who finished 8th last time round and is the biggest of the African teams. What a run for the Ivory Coast there to win their first championship.
Yeah, exactly. They have been in incredible form. And, I mean, wow. This also means as well now, Africa has had 6 different winners in the last 6 years, which before this was been unheard of because we'd only ever had 3 by the time things started going onto YouTube. So since then, we've had 6 different winners.
Yep, and the Ivory Coast, the most recent ones, and that's going to bump them up in the Global Trophy rankings for certain. I'd say, because we've sort of been looking at this when it comes to, obviously, since we're at the 3rd of 4 qualifiers now, we've got to think about potential dud teams now. Who's done the worst so far? Out of all of those, really, you'd say that Namibia may be the only one.
Yeah, everyone else has been, like, at least quite deep into the competition before, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we obviously saw last week, we have been working out a little bit. It might be the Philippines, it might be Namibia. We're not sure yet. We'll have to check on previous appearances in the finals. But, I mean, this African setup is just every little bit as strong as the European one, right?
Definitely. While the European one's got, like, Scotland and Croatia, this one has got, yeah, you could say Egypt and Namibia, but then the rest of the teams are the best of the best when it comes to Africa. So Africa's pretty much putting in a full-strength side. Europe's pretty much putting in a full-strength side. Asia's putting in half a first team, half a second team. What the hell is America going to be doing?
I mean, if Argentina and Brazil get in, it's going to absolutely go down, isn't it? It's going to be all hell breaking loose for the 2024 finals.
What if they both get knocked out?
Then they're going to struggle. It's that simple.
Though I think, because personally, if there's any chance for there to be an African champion, strike now.
This is the year.
Strike now.
Is the year. Yep, I agree.
Right, Asia, not looking great for them. I think the teams in there are a bit too weak on that one. Africa's side though is looking incredibly strong.
Yeah. So we have next 8: the Ivory Coast, Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco, Ghana, Senegal, Egypt, and Namibia. The first pre-qualifier of the year to go through.
Yep, and yeah, Namibia through. Oh no, wait, the Philippines.
Oh yeah, take it back. Sorry, apologies to the Philippines.
But there you go. If you look at it this way, right? Out of 24 teams that have currently gone through to the Global Trophy Finals, 2 of them are preliminaries. Only 2. And that's
Amazing,
the Philippines and Namibia. That's it.
Incredible stuff, isn't it?
Will that trend continue next week? We have the Americas qualifiers. Of course, reigning champions, 11-time champions Argentina, and probably the biggest bad guy in the comments at this point. They don't like Argentina.
Who doesn't? Who does like Argentina?
Argentines.
True.
That's about it. But yeah, Argentina, obviously 11-time America's champions. They've got to be the favourite again, haven't they, really?
I mean, if it's not them, then I don't know who it's going to be.
Brazil and Mexico are a good 2-3.
Yeah, Brazil have won a few titles in their time. They've won 3 in the past, but I mean, yeah, Argentina, they've never won 3 in a row though. And they've won the last 2. Yep. So let's see.
This could be their chance to win their 3rd in a row, and 12th altogether to keep the pressure on Australia with those titles, I guess.
Absolutely.
Since now Australia has got 1 more title than Argentina. Argentina are going to want to make sure that record only lasts 2 weeks.
Yep.
But I guess we'll find out next week. But for now, folks, that is the end of the African qualifiers here at the 20th annual Global Trophy, the 2024 Global Trophy. I'm Masterath.
I've been Sven-Göran 64.
And we'll see you next week for week 8 of 9 with the Americas qualifiers. Will Argentina retain their title and make it to a 16th Global Trophy final? Will we see a new winner? Who knows? Will they have a stacked card like Africa and Europe do? Oh, this final's looking very good, isn't it? Looking very good. And with America, we'll see what sort of 8 teams they're going to be putting in. We'll see you next week.